job search is exhausting. What burns you out is the emotional part of it. Your brain's job is to protect you from failure, from rejection, from adversity. You are the CEO of your brain. We are back with another episode of the Career Dive podcast. Today, I am sharing part 2 of the live session that we hosted just a few weeks ago. Part 1 we shared on the podcast last week. And last week specifically, we talked about job search strategy. So we talked about applying, reaching out to people. And while you are experienced and you're senior and you know you're good at what you do, it's just not clicking and you're not really moving forward. So we talked through that last week. And we also talked through really casting a wide net when you're job searching. So maybe you're going for 30, 60, 90 roles, and why that's not the most effective strategy, even though it might feel that you are setting yourself up for success by not missing out on any opportunities. Or maybe you even feel like you're not in a position to be selective. So that's what we talked about last week. And overall, this session is unique because it's a live session with a group of about 60, 70 professionals who applied to be there. They're all senior. They're all good at what they do. They have big brands on their resume, but while they're job searching, they're active, it's just not clicking and they don't understand why. So in this live session, I broke down the themes that we see in their application when they apply for the session. So the themes that come up for most people when they're job searching time and time again, and I shared exercises that you can work through right now. And we've also worked through some case studies right then and there. So today I'm sharing the second part of that live session. And today we're diving into job search burnout. So if you're someone who feels exhausted, you're just so tired from rejection, anything that has to do job search, any action feels very heavy. So that's the first part that we'll be diving into today. And then the second part of today's recording is me talking about a scenario where you land interviews, but you just struggle to land offers. And I give you a very specific actionable exercise on what to actually do to start being seen as a business solution rather than just someone who is experienced. So without further ado, let's dive into the session. Let's move on to the second theme. And what I keep hearing from a lot of you is that I am just done. I'm just so exhausted from job search. Maybe you feel that, hey, there has been so much ghosting, rejection. Maybe you're spiraling every time you get that no email. Maybe, and this is actually something that one of our clients, Helene, told me, and she was 30 years of experience. She had C-level roles. She was laid off and she was job searching. And she said, I kept getting rejected and thinking, what is going on? Do I have any value at all? Do I have anything to offer at this point? Why is this happening? So here is what I want for you to hear. A lot of people, very common, very normal, say that job search is exhausting. Say that I'm burned out from job search. What I want for you to think about is that you're not physically burned out, because what burns you out is not the physical effort. And think about nurses, think about presidents, think about how much they work in terms of hours and effort, right? So as humans, we actually are capable of a lot of effort, which is actually really cool. And to put this into perspective, you're not working 80 hours at a hospital during COVID, right? Most of you are clickety-clock on your computer, on Zoom, at your desk. So physically, you're not physically exhausted. You're not physically burned out. What burns you out is the emotional part of it. It's the thoughts that are surrounding your effort. So you're not tired from job search or applying. You're tired from what your brain, and I see Leary says rejection is exhausting. Exactly. You're tired from what your brain makes this whole experience and the rejection that comes with it mean. Because what happens, very normal, very human, but you get a rejection and we make it mean something about us, right? So we're thinking, okay, well, maybe, I'm not enough. Like maybe my experience is not actually that strong. Maybe, I'm not actually qualified for this. And then other thoughts start to follow, right? Okay, well, this will never happen. This job market sucks. I don't have enough experience in blank, or I have too much experience in blank. And when you're trying to do your job search activities, when this is going through your head, of course, it's really hard. Of course, you're burned out. So this is very normal. In fact, our brains are built to work this way because your brain's job is not to set you up for success. It's to protect you from failure, from rejection, from adversity. So the more rejection you have, the more your brain tells you how awful this is, the more thoughts that this whole experience sucks it offers you, so that you stop doing this. That's why the whole experience is so painful. But I want to offer you that you're in charge of your brain. You're in charge of your thoughts. You're the CEO of your brain. And you need to learn the tools to not let adversity and rejection derail you for days or weeks and to burn you out. And to put this into perspective, this is also something very important to hear. In that multi-six-figure role that you want, you think there's going to be no rejection, no adversity, no failure, no pressure? There will be quite a bit. So if you don't have those tools and those skills now, how are you going to succeed in that role? In fact, I actually want to offer you that probably you're not ready for that senior 200K role if you're spiraling right now when you're getting that rejection. And something I actually notice with our clients is that within a few weeks, I see this change because they're learning these tools. They no longer spiral. I see it very, very clearly. They say, hey, okay, this didn't work out, but then they're back at it the next day. While in the past, they were fully just out of control, spiraling when they got a rejection. So what I want for you to start thinking about, and I want for you to write this down, is you need to embody that senior professional that you want to be. You need to start thinking like that multi-six-figure professional. You need to start thinking like the CEO of your brain, of your life, of your career. With that, what would a senior professional, the CEO, do? If you're making 200K, let's say, what would you do? So let's say you're in that job that you're targeting right now. You tried a strategy for months and it's not working. So in your case, it can be you're tailoring your resume, you're applying, you're using AI tools, you're reaching out to recruiters, you're reaching out to hiring managers, and it's not working. What would you do as that senior professional in your job? Would you continue doing the strategy over and over and over and over again? Or would you say, well, this strategy is not working. I need a different strategy because clearly this is not leading to results. So, friends, what I want for you to take away here is that you're not burned out because of job search. Job search in itself is not that tiring. You're feeling this way because of your strategy and how you react to the strategy not working. So you need to start showing up in your job search the same way you do in your job, rather. So if something is not working, you need to understand why and pivot. All right, let's move on to the next theme here. And I want to, again, hear from you if this resonates. I hear from a lot of you that you are not 100% sure what this next role is. So you go online, go on LinkedIn, you're scrolling, and you're not really sure. So you're either not taking action at all, or you apply for random jobs that seem okay, might seem interesting here and there, but there's no consistency. Or, and I have a feeling this will resonate with a lot of you, or you're doing actually the opposite. You're casting a wide net. Who here has targeted, applied for over, 30 roles, 50 roles, 60 roles. No judgment here. Here's a thought I have, 50 plus. Here's a thought I have for you. Are out of those 50 jobs, 90 jobs I'm seeing, 30 jobs, out of those 50 jobs, are all of them a good match for you? Because I know how this happens. You're looking at a job, you're like, yeah, I can do it. Like I can match job description. Like I can, tailor my resume so it matches the job description. But are 60 roles that you've pursued, 90 roles, are the right match for you? I don't believe for a second that out of 90 roles, all of them are a good match for you. No, I'm just hoping for the best. We all are doing that. But how insane is that? You want a 200K job that you actually love, but then you also know that, well, they're not actually a good match. But what happens here is because they're not really a good match, there are a few actually things that are happening. First of all, it's a waste of time and energy because you feel very overwhelmed trying to mold yourself to fit those 60 to 90 roles. That's exhausting. And also, you can't really fit 90 different roles. So, of those 90 applications, most of them are probably not very good because you're just trying to fit yourself into it every single time. On the other hand, by the way, our clients are very, very focused. We get them to be focused. They pursue 3 to 5 companies, often just 4, 6 roles in a few months, and they get multiple offers. Just imagine how much easier it is and what we were talking about just now with getting in front of the right people, when it's only 3 companies versus 90 companies. How much more effective your efforts would be if you're just focused on 3 different teams in 5 different companies. So your networking and your outreach will be very focused. But then your brand will also be focused because you only need to be a good fit for 5 companies versus 90 companies. No wonder it feels so overwhelming. So when I talk about clarity, right? So getting really clear what those companies are and what those roles are. It's not just the title. It's knowing where to spend your time when you're job searching, right? So who are those people that I need to meet? What do they need to know about me? How do I need to connect the dots just for those 5 companies, not 90 companies? And how to talk about yourself, how to position yourself for those few companies, which is, again, a lot easier when you are focused. And clarity is not just the title, it's also the problems that you want to solve, the skills that you have and you love using, the culture and leadership that brings the best in you, the lifestyle that you want for this job to support. So that's clarity. So I want for you to think about how you choose the roles that you're pursuing. Do you choose them because they're available? And I see some people nodding here. And they're okay, I can do them. Or do you choose them because you truly want them? Because what happens here is when you know that, it's okay, I can do it, I can apply for it, let's see what happens, right? I hope for the best. Let's see what happens. Well, that's how you show up. That's how much effort and energy you're going to put into trying to get that role, trying to get in front of the right people, because it's meh. So you're not probably going to get in front of the right people, number one. Number two, if you do get an interview, how are you going to show up if it's a meh role that you don't actually want? That's how you're going to show up. They're going to know it. They're going to feel it. You're not going to go above and beyond to be proactive, which is what you need at this level. It's a freaking big sale that you're trying to make. When you want 150K, 200K, it's a big sale to make in just a couple of hours of sitting down with the employer. And it's harder to position yourself when you're not excited, because you're not excited. And because you didn't do all the other things, you didn't get the insider intel, so it's harder for you to position. So it becomes a full circle. And then even if you do get this role, you're unhappy because it was a meh role to begin with. So you're making this so hard for yourself. Like it feels that, hey, by casting the wide net, I'm setting myself up for success. But you're actually making this harder for yourself than it needs to be. So ask yourself, do I want all the roles that I'm pursuing? Is this a good use of my time? Back to the idea of I'm the CEO of my career, of my life. Is this a good use of my time and my energy? And that's actually something I see with my clients. We start always by building their dream job prototype. So they're very clear. We have a specific process, step by step. But what I find happens every time, they start saying no to interviews. They start saying no to opportunities that come to them because they realize this is not a fit. This is not worth my time and energy. I need to be focused on what is worth my time and energy because your time and energy is expensive. Quite literally, you want a multi-six-figure role. Okay, if you are listening to this and you're like, okay, this definitely is resonating. If you are someone who is landing interviews, but they're not converting, and maybe you feel like, well, I know I can do this job, but somehow I'm not landing the offer. Maybe you feel like, well, I know I'm good for this. I'm good at this, but I'm not sure how to talk about it and how to get them to see that I'm really good. Maybe, and this is the language from some of you guys here on the call, I over-explain in interviews and I don't sound confident. Maybe that's you. Maybe you're someone who, someone said, I've been at one company for years and I don't know how to position that. Maybe you feel like, okay, I have that strong experience. I go all the way to the final round and I still don't get the offer. Okay, I'm seeing lots of Foz, Leary, Brian, Resonates, Karina, Malika, Christina. Okay, so we're going to talk through it and we're going to do another interactive exercise and there will be an opportunity to be in the hot seat. All right, so if that's you, what I want for you to hear is that this is extremely common, as is everything we've been talking about today. Especially this is common for experienced professionals. Because what you're focusing on is trying to package your experience, right? So how do I talk about my experience? But interviews, write this down, interviews are not about you. Same as networking. With networking, we said that we're all me, but no one cares. Same with interviews. It's not about you. It's about the company. You're so focused because that's what you've been taught. You're so focused on what you have done and how to talk about your experience that you're forgetting to focus on why you're here and why they're hiring. You are forgetting to think about what they care about and what problems they're trying to solve. Because they're not hiring you for your experience. They're hiring you to solve problems. So when you don't make that connection for them explicitly, what happens is, okay, well, you sound like an experienced professional, but they don't feel like they need to hire you. You're not that must-have solution for them. And what they're looking for is a solution. Okay, so here is your kind of mindset shift here. In every interview, your number one job, simply put, is to connect the dots between what they need and what you bring. Not telling me about your 20 years of experience. I don't care. What I care about is my problems and how you are going to solve those problems. So it's not about telling them how impressive you are. It's not about, everything that's on your resume. It's about showing that you understand their goals. And by the way, this is where networking is so important because you'll understand their goals and challenges a lot deeper. And then how you can help them achieve them. So with our clients, we build for every role that you're interviewing for, we build an interview alignment plan. So we literally connect those dots before you even go into the interview. So you have a plan of this is specifically what I need to be talking about. Okay. But this plan always starts with one simple question. What are the top 3 priorities or problems that they need for this person to solve? Another way, you can say, what are the top 3 things this company is prioritizing in that role? So we're going to make this practical and we're going to do an exercise together. So I want for you to think about a role that you have applied for recently, or a role that's kind of top of mind. Maybe you're eyeing it right now. You want to apply for it, or maybe you interviewed for this role recently. So something that's kind of really top of mind for you. Okay, got one. What I want for you to do is to write down, and please do share in the chat. Would love for one person to come into the hot seat. So what are the 3 things this company is likely prioritizing in this role? So think about, why does this role exist? What are they trying to solve? So 3 things, and you can just share in the chat 3 quick bullet points. Raja says, I feel like they're scoping the market, seeing the quality of candidates. Does the role really exist? Honestly, no one is just scoping the candidates because no one has the time to do that. No one is doing interviews just for fun. Everyone's busy. No one is doing interviews, job interviews, just for fun. Okay, I'd love maybe a couple more people to share. Roberto, how do we find what problems they're trying to solve solely on the job posting? Well, one, it's really hard to do it just based on the job description. That's why we've been talking about building internal advocates and meeting people on the inside for 20 minutes earlier. But sometimes you do need to rely on the job description. And we'll talk about that. We'll get one of you to be in the hot seat so we can talk through it. I'm seeing embedded software technical management, managing complex stakeholders, building and improving new intranet, translating complex topics into, okay, this is a great example. So is it Nin? Hopefully I'm pronouncing your name correctly.
You can just call me Ning.
Nin, hello. I was going to ask you if you were comfortable coming on here, and you're already here. So awesome. So I'm going to pull this up. Okay. So you said 3 things. Just remind me what the role is, just type of kind of function that the role is.
It's a senior internal comms role for a complex organization that has federated structure, so different office, different topic, and things like that.
Love that. Okay. So internal communications in I'm assuming a large kind of complex organization. And you pointed out 3 things. Managing complex stakeholders, number 1. Number 2, building and improving the new intranet. 3, translating complex topics into easy landing communication assets. All right. So this is probably based on, I would imagine, right, the job description.
Also the topic, also the questions they asked me in the interview.
Okay. So here's what I want for you to think about, and for everyone to think about. So someone was asking earlier, well, how do I know what the problems are? And, how do I really get that information? A, insider intel, but B, I want for you to always think bigger picture, meaning employers in general are hiring for one of 2 reasons. One is because they need a problem to be solved. They need for their life to be easier, right? That's one reason, their life to be easier. Or 2, for you to make them money. Or both. There's no other reason they're hiring. They're not hiring you to manage complex stakeholders, even if it's the first bullet point on the job description. Because that's not really truly what they care about. They don't care about managing stakeholders. They care about you making them money or saving them money, and or you making their life easier. That will, in turn, help them make more money. Okay? So when you're looking at the job description or just the role in itself, you need to ask yourself, okay, by managing complex stakeholders, what does that do for them? How does that make their life easier? And in turn, help them make more money or save them money? And or directly, is this helping them make more money? So what's kind of the underlying goal of managing complex stakeholders?
So first of all, it's a nonprofit, but I do understand the kind of making money aspect. So I think it's to make sure efficiency, because there's different stakeholders with different interests. So if everyone wants something different, then there is a lot of inefficiency.
And what does that mean for me, the employer? Okay, things are inefficient. What happens? What does that mean for me?
Things cannot get done.
Yeah. Well, it probably means, if I were to guess, that maybe things are taking longer than they need to. Projects are taking longer. which again, costs me more money. It probably means that I need to hire more people because things are inefficient and people are inefficient, let's say, in their work, which again, hiring more people means more money for me, right? So that's how I want for you to start thinking about every single problem. Okay, so they don't really care about me managing stakeholders. They care about what? Efficiency, right? And what that efficiency will do for them, right? That, okay, well, efficiency means, people are more effective, projects are getting done faster. So what that means for you in terms of your plan is I need to make sure it's on me that I'm going to share examples with them where I tell them about me improving efficiency that allowed to, streamline, let's say, hiring, improve projects turnaround, etc. Like that's what they actually care about. And ideally, what that meant in dollar amount in the ideal world. Let's do another one. So your second one was building and improving the new intranet. Probably on the job description, right? Do they really truly care about the intranet?
No, I think they care about what happens with
exactly.
the
So
intranet.
what does this intranet system, right? What is this going to do for them, right? What is the problem that they're trying to solve? If you were to guess based on what you know.
I think same thing, like how to communicate better with employees so the message lands. So, for example, they also mentioned they are rolling out a few new tech. There's also regulations coming. So they really need to make sure employees understand what that means for their job and then can probably do things the way the senior leaders want.
Yeah. So again, do I truly care about better communication with employees? Like it's very broad, right? But what I do care about is employees internally being good at what they do, right? For them, again, back to efficiency, them being efficient, them avoiding mistakes. So if they don't know about regulations, they would make mistakes, which is what is going to happen? It's going to cost me money, right? So from your perspective, they don't care about the intranet. They care about you having the experience, again, building efficient systems that allows for other people in the organization to be efficient, right? To be informed and not make mistakes. Oh, and this is an example of, let me share an example where I've done that. And this is how much, let's say, money this saved us, or specific issues that it allowed us to prevent because we were proactive and we had this communication system. So this is how, and we're going to kind of wrap up here with this exercise, but this is specifically how I want for you to be thinking through every single role and every single interview. Not just, hey, here's the job description. Okay, they're looking for examples of me managing stakeholders, but what does that do for them? What is the problem in terms of making or saving money or making their life easier that they're trying to solve? And that's the specific examples from my experience that I need to find and make sure that I share. That's on you to come in with this plan. These 3 examples are a must share. And with every single of those examples, I'm going to bring it back to them, explicitly tell them, this example of X, Y, and Z is where I did X, Y, and Z, or A, B, and C. And that's exactly what you're trying to do here. That's exactly why this role is open. So I've done this. This is your priority too. I'm the right person. Okay, so simply put, that's how you break down every single interview.